Here with me now for more on the immigration issue and all things political is Arizona Congresswoman REP.LESKO. Congresswoman, it's always a pleasure to see you. Really quick before we get started, I want to get your kind of takes on last night's primary debate, particularly when it comes to the front runner, Bernie Sanders.
Wow, it was a mess. That debate was a mess. I mean, people yelling over each other. They couldn't control them. I mean, it was like a food fight. And so I think the person that won the debate was actually President Trump. I really don't see any of those people beating President Trump. However, I don't ever, take any election for granted. So all of us have to work hard, compare the differences between President Trump and the Republicans, what we believe in versus what the Democrats believe in, which you brought up. Bernie says he's a socialist.
Yeah, and one topic that I know that you've been very much on top of this entire time throughout your time in the House is immigration, and that's something that didn't come up last night once in the Democratic debate. And in fact, you're on the Homeland Security Committee, so I want to ask you: do you think that there's any type of progress that can be made on the immigration front between now and November, or is it just merely going to be a campaign issue?
Well, I think with Democrats in control in the House, I have seen firsthand how the Democrats, the only thing they want to do about immigration is open the border more and incentivize more people to come across the border illegally. I mean, they've passed bills that basically give amnesty to anyone that claims that they came as a child here, meaning 17-year-olds or younger. I introduced 6 bills that actually Department of Homeland Security and Customs and Border Protection said that they need to help solve this immigration problem that we have on the southern border. And Chairman Nadler, they were assigned to Judiciary. I serve on Judiciary Committee, but the Democrat Chairman Nadler won't hear any of them. All they hear is this amnesty, pro-amnesty. Like it's all about, I think they really want everybody just to cross the border and to give them free stuff. It's such a stark difference between what Republicans believe and what President Trump believes and what the Democrats believe. It couldn't be a starker difference.
No, and I mean, we don't even have to take your word for it. We've heard it from the candidates themselves. In fact, Bernie Sanders, Pete Buttigieg have said things along the lines of people who are outside of America are just as much Americans as the people who are in the country right now. And we've seen them even extend health care type of benefits to illegal immigrants. That's something that they've proposed. And I mean, we could date back to the beginning of the debates where Julian Castro kind of first proposed the idea, and it's kind of since become the norm of the Democratic candidates, where decriminalizing border crossings is something that a lot of Republicans would say would be detrimental to the U.S. economy and the immigration system. So what changes would you like to see, assuming that Republicans are able to take back the lower chamber in 2020?
Well, certainly we have to continue to secure the border with building the wall. I also have a bill that actually passed out of Homeland Security Committee that would give more detection to tunnels, because these drug cartels are really building elaborate tunnels under the border. So we need to really close those down because they're doing human and drug trafficking. But we also have to change our laws so that, for instance, the credible fear, what was happening last year is that families from Central America were coming here and basically being instructed by the cartels and other liberals to just cross the border, turn themselves into the Border Patrol officers and claim asylum. That the claims, the threshold for the first measure to get into the country is so low. They need to be raised, because otherwise what happens, as you know, what did happen is everybody came over here, claimed asylum, they were able to stay in America. Now, President Trump then has said remain in Mexico, because he knew what they were doing and what they were up to. So he did the remain in Mexico, so they have to stay there waiting their asylum claims, which has helped, but we really need to change the law. So that's one of the bills that I have introduced that the Democrats won't hear at all.
And really quick before I let you go, too, it kind of comes back to me the idea that there's a populist movement right now in the United States, along with the rest of the world, that being Europe, Brazil. You could look wherever, and there's a populist movement, whether it be on the right or the left. And we can even look to Mexico as an example of a populist left type of movement that's taking place. Do you think that it's going to come down to, once again, the economy in 2020, with Bernie Sanders kind of making his vision and the president kind of trying to build on what he's done so far?
Well, I think the economy is a big issue. I mean, the economy is growing. There's more people that are looking for people to work for them. There's more job openings than there are people to fill them. So anybody that wants to work can have a job. And it doesn't matter what race they are, what sex they are, everybody's doing better. But there's other big issues, big differences. Let's talk about gun rights. I mean, the Democrats are all in to take away our guns. And so, don't be fooled by these Democrats that say, oh, we want you to keep your gun, but we want to do this, this, and this. The end goal is to take away our guns. So that's a big one.
Sure.
The big one is pro-life. Most Republicans are pro-life, and most Democrats are not. And so even we on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives, Republicans have asked 80 times to protect the babies that are born alive from botched abortions. And then they did that recently in the Senate. The Democrats don't want us in the House to hear that bill at all. They're totally opposed to it. These are babies born alive. They don't want to give them medical care. Instead, they want them to sit on a table and die. I don't understand this at all. Huge differences. Huge difference on border security. I'm from Arizona. This is a #1 polling issue in Arizona. And they're not going to go for Democrats and their open border stance. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see because Arizona is now looked at as a little bit more of a purple state than people saw in the past. So it's going to be kind of testing the people of Arizona about two polar extremes, if you will, the socialistic kind of approach by Bernie Sanders and then what has worked so far for the Trump administration. But Congressman Lesko, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.